Hey, friend. Hey, I'm trying this new super duper fancy. Ooh, I just got a text here from a friend of mine that said, would I sell this here house?
What house?
Brent Long asked, would I sell this house?
Our house?
Yeah.
No.
Why not?
That is a negative, Brent. Not happening. Where would we go? We'd be homeless.
I don't know. That I don't know. Hey, friend, thank you for getting on here, everybody. It looks like folks are rolling in. Hey, Lucky, you want to get up here and see everybody? Has everybody seen our dog? Come on. Come on, Lucky. Come on. Every Thursday night, me and my sidekick, a.k.a. Brittany Renee, we come to you live right here from our house that we might be selling.
Whatever.
By the way.
Mike McPherson says everything is for sale.
Everything. Well, she's not for sale. Kid in there is not for sale. But Tool Shed Tullis is on here. I hope to see you Thursday or Wednesday night before Thanksgiving at my party. Corey Martin, my old buddy, we used to work together back in the day. I see a lot of folks. I'm experimenting with something new tonight. So sorry if I'm very distracted, more distracted than I normally am. So my glasses look crooked.
ADD on steroids.
Yeah, well, that's okay.
It's okay.
Every Thursday night, like I said, me and Brittany Renee, we come together and we do a show called Straight from the Gut. The purpose of this show is I'm reflecting back on my past. I'm a lot older than Brittany Renee.
A
lot older. And, a lot of times we have arguments because she does not like the fact that I tell her I know things based on experience. It's not that I'm smarter than her, but what if somebody could tell you things that would help you eliminate a lot of the mistakes that you're going to make in your life? All you got to do is listen to people. I never did do a good job of listening to people because the teacher will appear shit. The student will appear, or the teacher will appear when the student is ready. Sorry, I mumbled that up so bad. So I just wasn't ready for so long in my life. I was not ready to listen. I was not ready to 365. We might sell it for 365. We might do that, Brent. I mean, there's a chance. Zach Harris, how you doing, friend? So tonight's show, this came to me. The shows usually come to me throughout the week. Whenever we're talking, I'm usually in dialogue with somebody in the office, and no, not 350. Don't even waste your time at that price. The show usually comes from a conversation that I'm having with somebody, and it makes me reflect back onto my past. That's where these show ideas come from. In case you're ever wondering, hey Jessica, how are you doing, friend? I won't mention names, but one day this week, I was talking to a buddy of mine, and he was talking about a situation that made me reflect back to my past, where this guy, he was very, very focused, and I don't know if I can make this. Hey, David, how are you, friend? David, you ought to go to the exchange tomorrow night, so I'm going to have somebody to talk to. This guy is so focused on one thing. I mean, he's dominated on the fact of one thing. So what I would ask you, is that one thing really worth chasing? One day, me and my good friend, Tony Woodall, we really love to see powerful quotes. And I'll never forget this day. Cassandra, hey, Shane Ray, how you doing, the big kahuna? This girl, Cassandra Tormes, I think has something to do with writing country music, okay? Mm-hmm. And she posted on her Facebook, is what you're chasing worth catching? And me and my buddy Woodall at that particular time were in a phase of where we were chasing things that we shouldn't be. Well, yes. that's if we were going to make it very, very transparent, it was for the largest majority of my life. I'm 44 years old. A lot of my Penny Campbell. Hey girl, how are you doing? a lot of my life, I'm 44 years old. A lot of my life was dominated by chasing women. And I can say that today because, hey, as I've gotten older, my testosterone level has dropped, so I don't really have to worry about that as much. But I'm telling you, after high school, through college, just going through all that stuff, I really felt better about myself if I somehow connected to a woman. We're going to keep this as PG as possible, but there was something inside me that felt better. I felt better about myself. I actually felt like I was accomplishing more things. I felt like it helped inflate my confidence.
Well, and I feel also it's instant gratification.
It was instant. Hey, very instant.
Very. Not when you were younger, right? But yeah, instant gratification, but it also boosts your ego.
It did boost my ego. So what I would ask you is and I remember I was telling this guy, I remember days at work where I would have met a girl and I would literally sit there and I don't know if it was email back in those days. How long has text been around? Text has been around.
Oh, gosh.
10, 11 years.
Quite a bit.
Well, maybe I can remember texting or emailing or calling, paging, whatever, all day. You could come in and I would be focused all day on that object. And I'm not going to say, I don't know exactly what it was, but does anybody on here have those? Did you have something in your life that you were chasing that really did not help you whatsoever? My buddy Blair Braswell's on here. Man, he were talking about some of this stuff today. These things that I would chase. I mean, hey, when it came to a woman, I would work as hard as anybody to get that woman's attention. Now looking back at 44, I regret that so much because of how much time, energy, money, resources that I wasted. Because today, other than the family life right here, I do have a dominant focus in my life. My dominant focus is reaching my potential. Hey, are you over there?
Yeah.
Are you in my past? Are you checking up on my past over there?
Who? I'm catching up on comments.
I don't know if I haven't seen any comments. Is anybody, hey, did the rated R version turn everybody off? Because that's not
Somebody called you Testosterone Tommy.
Who said that? I didn't.
Brian Keithville.
Man, I don't see all these people.
And Brian said, yeah, I chased booze and women, but I always caught the booze.
Man, I wish I would have seen all this stuff. I chased booze and women, but I always caught the booze. Yes, Carrie Ann's here, cousin Charlie will probably be calling you. Yeah, I see it now. I don't know why they're not loading up on here. But Scott Lumley, I have my time cut down to 1.5 seconds. I don't remember if that's what we were talking about, but I do think most people on here can think back to, and I feel like whenever this camera change and looks robotic. Testosterone Tommy, I don't have that problem anymore. I wish I did. Maybe the doctor will help me out. But as you get older, I'm 44 years old, that has definitely slowed me down. So, but I remember going through letdown after letdown, some painful experiences in my life. It reshifted my focus. Who's crying? Is that my mama?
Your mom.
Damn, Mom.
The fact that you're cut down on your testosterone.
Oh, Mama. My mama have an angry face go across here in a minute. I mean, she almost makes me feel uncomfortable to talk about these things because of the things she'll put up there. But I remember time after time of being let down, my focus started to change. And I read this book called The One Thing by Gary Keller. Mm-hmm. And not that my life had already changed before I read the book, but what is one thing that affects everything? So whenever I'm thinking about this, what you're chasing, is it worth catching? That one thing that you're chasing and asking, is it worth catching? What does that lead to? Does that help? Is that one thing how's that one thing affecting everything? So for me, chasing women didn't do anything. Mm-hmm. It led to nothing. So now whenever I'm looking at my life at 44 years old, what I'm the most dominant, hey, other than you, of course, we eliminate you from this show. What I'm the most focused, my dominant aspiration, my dominant focus is me chasing my potential in every area of my life. It's not just income. I want every area of my life to perform at a higher level. Mm-hmm. And you can break that down to relationships, spiritual, financial, health. God, I'm getting so fat right now. I'm really letting myself down in that area. Hey,
my mom. That belly earlier.
Well, I know. My mom said, so, Mama, you ain't got to ever apologize to me. I just don't want you to get embarrassed by some of the things that I'm saying. So, hey, I want to ask you guys this. What you're chasing, Brittany, Renee, right now, what is your dominant aspiration? What is your dominant focus?
We're not talking about family.
No, we're going to eliminate that because that's probably obvious.
Okay. Well, then the other obvious for me would be the exchange. Trying to grow that, trying to, create that experience, make it really convenient for everybody so everybody can enjoy it.
Okay. Well, if I ask you some challenging questions, is that going to offend you?
No.
Is chasing the exchange being your dominant focus, is that big enough? Because, see, the reason why I say that, the reason why I'm putting my potential in there is because being the best I can be in just real estate ain't good enough for me.
No.
So to re-ask that question.
Well, I guess I was kind of going towards that one I just said, but my one thing is overall experience.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm looking to create, whether it's in the exchange, whether it's in my relationships, whether it's in just anything. I think that's the most important thing to me is the experience in relationships.
Mm-hmm. At the exchange or just overall?
Just overall, in general, because if you have that, then I feel other things will follow.
So it's that one thing that affects everything.
Yes.
If there's one thing that you can do and it will take care of everything else. For me, the one thing that helps me take care of other things is the process that I measure every day. It's so easy to only focus on results. And me and Brittany had this discussion today. That's why this is so fresh. But most of us, I think, will agree that we tend to focus the most on the result. Mm-hmm. Our confidence is so...
Well, you try to fast forward to the result. A lot of people. And you can't do that.
Man, I don't know why my thing. I don't get to see all these people on here, dadgummit. But our confidence is really so tied to the result. So if you have a bad day, if you have a bad week, if you have a bad month, you're really more focused by the end. Your confidence is so result driven. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So think about this. If you were to not work very hard, but you still got the result that you wanted, how would you feel?
I wouldn't feel like, for me, that I wouldn't feel like I accomplished much just because I didn't work hard at it. And I feel like you could always work harder to achieve more. Well,
see, I think historically I've always focused so much on the result. The bad thing is focusing on the result a lot of times when things were easy, like right now, in my business, it is a lot easier than it was 5, 6, 7 years ago. And you see these results and you do get away from what brings you those good results. You do get lazy. So that's why I'm saying it's so dangerous to measure results because like right now you could be fooled. A lot of people are fooled into thinking they're better than what they actually are. So what I'm saying is if I'm tracking what I'm supposed to do, and I know this is cliche because it's, hey, look at Richard Neese getting on here with that 40X lead measures versus lag a lag measure. I guess would you say a lag measure would I think whenever you see a lag, that's coming later. So results for me usually come later. I need to do a much better job of looking at what I did today. Now, here's what sucks, Richard, is I'm not like you. I don't like to come in here and write down my list of every single thing that I want to do. I just kind of put it up here and I go into the day, and the next thing I know, it's it's 4:30, 5 o'clock, and I've really only gotten done what was given to me, whether it's a reactive problem. I'm not near as proactive whenever I'm not writing down a list.
Lag is the result, lead is the activities that
Right.
produce results.
Right. I just want to make sure I was understanding that correctly. So what I want to ask you is what you're chasing worth catching. That's powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Right there. Me and Brother Woodall heard that, and me and him just went, wow. Because at the time, we knew what we were chasing. We knew what our dominant focus was. We weren't waking up every day trying to get better with our life. We were waking up every day waiting for Friday night, waiting for Saturday night. That was our dominant focus. That was what we were chasing, was the weekend.
Mm-hmm. A good time, Tommy.
I was chasing good times. And, hey, Stevie Z's on here. How you doing, 35%? Hey, 35% was that was about the text you sent me tonight, Stevie. That was not about what we were talking about earlier today. That was something a little bit different. So, ask me a question, Brittany Renee. What would you like to know?
So, was it simply that quote that made you start thinking, or was it something else?
We had already shifted. I'd already shifted in my life. But what it does, it brings more awareness. It always brings the awareness back to what am I focusing on. Just like that book, The One Thing by Gary Keller. What is one thing that you can do? If you do this one thing, everything else will be okay.
It's also easy when somebody calls you out. Like if you have a good friend that calls you out.
What do you mean? Go deeper.
Like, for example, Timmy Dutton, when he helped you through all of that, he
Scott
was
Thomas.
your good friend that told you, hey, you need to fix this. You need to fix this. So having a good person by your side that's going to point out those things versus just acting like everything's okay.
I'm trying to tie that into what I was doing at the time, if what I was chasing was worth catching. Because during that time...
Well, when he was helping you get out of debt, what were you chasing?
I was really, whenever, by this time in my life, I was probably lost more than I was chasing anything. I was confused. I finally got to a point in my life where I was starting to outgrow what we're talking about, where one thing was, I really feel like your life goes in decades. Kind of like, so at 20 years old, you've got to focus, then 30 years old. And these focuses carry throughout your 20s, then throughout your 30s, and now in your 40s. So let's say as I was approaching 40 years old, I was really starting to, 38 years old, I was coming to the conclusion, I'm getting too old to do this. What is it that I want to do with my life? So there was a lot of questions. There was people like Tim Dutton, Joey Richardson, John Jones. They were giving me guidance, but I was still just unsure. I didn't know clearly how to get somewhere. So that's when Coach Burt came into my life. And I'll tell everybody this: if you want to get a dominant focus, if you want to get to a certain point in your life, the best thing you can do is start improving yourself, start improving your mind, start reading, start following people that can have a huge influence. And that happened for me. So my focus, what I was chasing, it shifted from the weekend to, hey, now I'm more interested in my potential. We'll just call it that. But hey, that has taken me 8 years.
Well, maybe it didn't happen overnight.
It does not happen. So hey, here's what I'm going to tell everybody on here. If you're still here, if you're interested in your potential, don't get discouraged because of how long it's going to take. For me, I was never a great student. I didn't pay attention. I didn't apply myself. Well, as I've gotten older, my learning curve, it seems like it's taken a lot longer. But you know what? I've stayed committed, because whenever I made the decision, I'm going to commit to me getting better. I'm going to commit to me reaching my potential, because I knew that my life at 35, 36 years old was not where it needed to be. It was not where I wanted it to be. It damn sure wasn't where I thought it was going to be. Mm-hmm. So I had to shift my thinking from Friday and Saturday night to, hey, how do these successful people do it? What is it that they're doing that I don't do? And they don't sit there and focus on a woman all day. They don't sit there and focus on one small thing that, again, the one thing that you're focusing on, what is it going to lead to? So if your goal is, give me an example. We'll talk about it.
An example
of anything that somebody could be dominant, their dominant focus could be.
Like a bad thing or a good thing?
Either.
Emotion.
Or let's just say
if they're dominated by emotion.
Let's just say if I made the decision, hey, I want to be a bodybuilder. Well, think about that. Let's just say, hey, I'm so fat right now. I've made the decision.
I'm going to go all the way.
I'm going all in on becoming a bodybuilder. Okay. Mm-hmm. So what would, for me, we know what my dominant focus has been. So what would the rest of my life look like if I made the decision tonight? I'm going all in on being a bodybuilder.
No pizza.
Well, no what alcohol. Do you think? What would happen to my income? What do you think would happen to all the dreams that I want? What would happen? So, I think
big, like dedicated. that's.
I think the one thing that you want to be focused on, the one thing that you're chasing, needs to be so big. If you focus and chase this one thing, everything else will fall into place. Everything else. So that's what you really need to be focused on. So for me, it's reaching my potential. If I'm focusing on reaching my potential every single day, everything will kind of fall into place. If I'm trying to be the best GTT that I could possibly be, every area in my life should reap some way. It should be rewarded some. If I want to become the best partner to Brittany Renee, if I want to be the best father figure to Nicholas in there, if I want to be the best leader and Lucky, if I want to be, my goal is to be the best salesperson in real estate, period. That is my goal. I want to be known as the best salesperson in real estate when it comes to scripts, overcome objections. I want to be known as the best. So if I'm focusing on becoming the best at selling or the best salesperson in real estate, I think a natural fallout or a natural whatever I'm trying to say would lead to me making more money, me having a better life. Now, I'm not saying if you're only focused on making money, if that's your dominant focus, what is that going to do for you?
Nothing.
That's right. You're probably going to be empty. That's not good enough. So if Mama, you made the decision. Is that what you're laughing at over there? My mama told me to get into real estate whenever I was a struggling stockbroker back in my mid to late 20s when I could, barely eat, miserable time. Mama helped me. But hey, do I wish I'd have gotten into real estate? I'm 44 years old. That could be another show I could talk about. Because if I could start all over, I don't know if I'd have gone that route. I would have gotten into something that I could have sold, like the company. I could have scaled it out bigger. I could have sold something in every state. I think I would have worked for somebody that even if I would have worked for free, like Kramer did that time on Seinfeld, I would have worked around somebody that was so influential, so great. That's what I would have done.
Yeah.
Hey, what are you doing?
He's thirsty.
I've been talking a lot. The longer I talk.
Who was that we heard talking about that? Where they went to, we were watching it on that little YouTube video.
What was it?
The guy.
Ty Lopez?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember, he said he went and worked for free just to learn.
Yeah, one of his things he did is he went and just imagine if you could go around somebody and you could learn what they know. If you could learn, hey, you're setting yourself up, buddy. You're making us nervous. You're making me nervous about tomorrow. You know what I'm talking about.
Report card.
So, yes, he did say that. He imagine if there was like a huge guru, imagine if I said, hey, I want to go work for John Floyd. Mm-hmm. That's the person I want to go. Even if I don't get to make a dime, I want to be his whatever I could be. I want to be around that guy just about every single day. Imagine. So like Robert Sislow, who's around Grant Cardone, who's a good buddy of mine. He's around Cardone so much. Think about how much his mind has expanded just because he's around that guy every day. Mm-hmm. So, hey, Do we have any questions? Mentor over the money. Hey, cousin Jennifer, Alyssa's on here. JD Bald, how are you doing, friend? So, do you have any questions over there?
Not right now, baby.
Give me something. Well, give me an experience. Give me something I've taught you.
Well, just today, when we're talking about focusing on result, when, times get a little tough or you have a bad day or a bad week or however that looks. And I'm not one that focuses on the end result when things are great. I'm one that gets terrified and focuses on the end result when things are, like a bad day. So I feel defeated. I feel discouraged because I am one that puts a lot of my passion and I put all of me into what I do, so if I do have a bad day, as you saw this morning, I kind of crumble a little bit because I feel defeated. Even
experience it more whenever times are bad as a time.
Right.
Here's something that you should always know whenever you're negotiating with somebody. People always would prefer to have something. They're always going to pick fear of loss over fear of gain. Mm-hmm. Whenever you take something away from somebody, that right there really bothers people. If I were to say, well, you can go out and you can do this, that doesn't feel the same as if I said I'm taking this away from you.
Right.
Whenever we take something away from you, it's a much more powerful negative reinforced feeling. Brian, what is your question? I have a visitor to catch the show tomorrow. Hey, I love you too, Mama. Tell me your question, Brian Bell. I love having questions. I love a good question.
Did you say a question?
I thought it said I had a question. He was smiling on there. What?
I don't see it.
Well, he just said I had a question. I don't know. I don't know if he's still going to.
Improvement is an evolution, but is there one event or stressor that precipitated your tenacity on this journey?
Yeah, for me, it was going through a breakup, then a rock bottom experience where the real estate market was so bad. I mean, it was so bad. And I luckily, I had people in my life, like Tim Dutton was coming into my life during this time, Brian. And this guy was very wealthy, and he was telling me, he helped me see the light go on. I mean, the light was it was trying to come on, but he helped flip the switch. Mm-hmm. So pain, I do believe that people are motivated usually by pain or potential. And for me, unfortunately, I'm more motivated by pain. Pain meant usually for me taking something away from me. As I was getting older, time was being taken away from me. Money was being taken away from me. So I made the decision that, you know what? I'm going to get to a certain level by a certain age. And I'm still working on that. I'm not where I want to be, but self-improvement, like you're saying, it is an evolution. And I'll tell you about it tomorrow if you really want to know, Brian. But yeah, I was about 36 years old. I was going through these tough times. And to highlight what you're saying about evolution, self-improvement starts very small. But the more you commit to it, the bigger and bigger, and it just kind of snowballs. It's kind of like, I don't know if you saw a video I put out this week, but I compare it to a fire. Like starting a fire is not easy. You don't know because I start all the fires around here. But starting a fire, it's very hard. They don't always start just like that. But as they get to going, they get hot. They get hotter and hotter and hotter. And the next thing you know, I mean, if I don't come home and I don't feel like I'm feeding my mind something, I really feel guilty. Now, again, Brian, this is something that took me about 8 years to get to this point. But I try. You can ask Brittany Renee as my witness. I really try every single night, every single day to do something to feed my mind to help me get more more knowledge, more creative every single day. But again, that's why my dominant focus, my what I want to do more than anything is reach my potential. And here's what I've learned: whenever you're trying to reach your potential, what you'll find is every time you get to a certain spot, you'll understand that your potential is so much greater than what you knew. And what you end up really finding out is you're never getting close to your potential. The more successful you are, you'll say, you know what, there's so much left. Hey, what are you doing over there, Missy? Do you have any questions for me?
No, baby, you're doing great.
Am I doing great?
You're
even
doing
though
great.
even though I didn't plan anything?
You do your best when you don't plan.
So, Brian, did that answer your question? How do you like me doing it this way versus the phone? Do I look a little odd on here?
I don't think you do. You just coming across clear.
So, Brian, let me ask you this, or let me ask everybody on here: is every day you're really focused on chasing something? We all have something that's where it's in our mind. We're chasing it. Is it worth catching? How much desire do you have? Are you committed to chasing that? Adam Valentine, that guy wakes up every day to look his best. He looks good, almost as good as me right now. I'm bloated. Roll Tide, Valentine. Feeling kind of chubby. What can I do to get
I'm
that?
just the type of person, I won't allow myself to fail.
Are you afraid of failure?
I don't know if that's the right word.
You shouldn't be, because
I don't fear failure, because I feel like when you do fail, you do learn from it. But I don't know.
Well, if you were afraid, most people aren't afraid of failure. This is something you can write down, everybody. Most people are not afraid of failure. Most people are afraid of blame. You know what? If you could do something, fail, nobody know about it, it wouldn't bother you. But if you fail in front of people, everybody's looking at you and you're getting the credit as being a failure. But failure does not define who you are. You should never, the reason why you should not be afraid to fail is because when you've got that fear of failing, what it'll do is it will put you into a comfort zone to where you don't take any chances. And what most people would find out, the more chances that you end up taking, the more success you actually have. Why most people don't have more success is because they don't try more things. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So there's things that
I agree with what you're saying, but I also feel like there's a little gray area, because I feel that people can be afraid of failure if they're failing at what they're absolutely passionate about, whether people see it or not. Because that's what they love.
But what are they afraid of?
They're afraid that they're not going to be able to pursue this passion. I mean, that would be something pretty scary, because you even said earlier, people don't like when you take something from them. They fear that more than, so you would be taking, or it would be taken from that person if you fail at your passion.
Yeah, but I would still tell people that are afraid of failing, they need to overcome that fear and just go do it. And if it does not work out, you will learn something from this that will help you do something else, or maybe even help you do what you were trying to do.
Right.
Failing is also information. Every time I've done something and I've failed, it's education, it's information. There is something that you're learning from it. But I think most people would be shocked to find out that success is probably a lot easier than they think. Failing most of the time is probably just not even trying to do something. There's things I want to do now that 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I'd be like, dude, what are you thinking? Dumbass, you can't do that. Don't even try to do that. Now I'm thinking, man, I see so many people that are so successful. Hey, Dave Thomas. I see people that are so successful and they're not any smarter than other people that are a lot less successful. They have just tried. They've just committed action. They said, I'm going to go out and I'm going to do this right here. And then you're looking at them and they're like, and there's a lot of people out there that are doing very, very, very good, and they may not even be very good at what they're doing. The fact is, they attempted something.
They did.
That's right. What they did, their special was, hey, Let's just go try this. And I really think if there's anybody on here that is thinking about doing something, but the only thing that's holding you back is some type of doubt, some type of fear, you ought to go ahead and just do it. Like you, I didn't see much doubt whenever you decided to do the exchange.
No. That's the one thing in my life that there was no doubt. It was almost like it made sense.
Well, the longer you usually take to decide to do something,
You talk yourself out of it.
I do believe in something called deal fatigue or decision fatigue, whatever you want to call it. The longer you think about something, the more likely you are to start believing the doubt. The people that tell you, then you start to think, well, I don't need to do this for whatever reason. Then it just makes more sense for you to not do it. Right. Because of how long it's taken. So, hey, the one thing you could take away from this tonight, guys, is if there's something you want to do, no matter how crazy your best friend tells you it is, no matter how crazy your mama or a family member tells you you don't want to do that, let me give you 10 concrete reasons why. If there's something you want to do, I'm firmly in the opinion of if you do it, if you try this, I really feel like there is a very, very, very good chance that it will succeed. And a lot of times you've got to put yourself into a position to where you may not know today how to do something. You may not have the answers on how to do something right now. But when you force yourself to get out there and start figuring things out, your mind becomes more creative. Your body, your being, your spirit becomes more resilient. There's just things you figure out that you would never figure out unless you're put into that stress test, unless you're put into a situation that you actually had to overcome. Your mind will never, your body, your being will never become as creative as it can if it doesn't have to. So like let's just say if one of those movies happened, like The Purge, or if a nuclear bomb went off and we survived, we would be able to survive. The people that survive would figure out a way. They would create ways that maybe they didn't even know was possible. They didn't even know they could do it. You know, I never did.
They were forced into that.
Their mind forced them to create a scenario. Because we are survivors.
Right.
We're all survivors. And we've got an instinct that we're not aware of yet, unless you push yourself. If you stay within your comfort zone, though, you'll never figure that out. You'll never reach it. So there's things, what everybody should do is you should say in 2018, I'm going to do this.
Like in Tommy, his case, beat cigarettes. Beating cigarettes is depressing for me.
Mm-hmm. Well, you can do it. You can beat it. Leslie Denny, Mike Shivers, thank y'all for
getting. Did you hear about that company? Today it was on the news.
Get 6 days off for not.
6 additional vacay days to make up for smoke breaks. Mm-hmm. They're asking if more companies should do that.
I did see that. So here's what everybody should do. For 2018, you ought to go ahead and write this down. You ought to write it down right now. You ought to do the same thing. In 2018, I'm going to do this. And not think about it. Just say, I'm going to do this. And then force yourself to figure out a way to make it happen. And if you think about it every single day, if you think about it constantly, more than likely you can make it happen. You should make something so outrageous. It should be such a huge goal or accomplishment that if you even get close to it, you're going to feel proud.
I already have something in mind.
Do you? Mm-hmm. Is it about me? Mm-mm. What is it? Another store?
No, what I'm going to do with it.
Well, if you start thinking, if I were to ask you right down right now, what are you going to do in 2018? Give me just one thing you're going to do. If you start thinking about it, your mind is going to try to put you into a comfortable spot to where, okay, you can easily do this. But what if you don't allow your emotions to determine anything? What if it's just, hey, I'm telling my mind right now, this is what I'm going to do. Mm-hmm. And then every day you look at it. every day you're bringing an awareness to that. I know all this spiritual stuff is kind of crazy, but I do really. Hey, Travis, how you doing, friend?
I'm not one to really think things through. Like if I'm going to do something, I just do it, or I find a way to.
Okay, that's okay. Think about how powerful that is. Now think about this. Think about if you thought about doing that instead of saying, I'm just going to do it. It's so.
I think I've trained myself to just do it because in the past I would think and then I talk myself out.
And you know what? It really doesn't matter how big that is, what you just said. It doesn't matter how hard it is if you say, I'm just going to go do this. Or, you could make that bold statement and it could be a huge accomplishment, or you could even you could kind of be on the fence of accomplishment that's a lot easier, and you might hit the harder goal. Does that make sense? Am I making sense, kinda?
Yeah.
Are you just saying that?
No, you are. Ryan said in 2018 he will build a tiny house community and name one model the Good Time Tommy. What happens in the Good Time Tommy?
I like that.
What happens in that model house?
Ooh. Brandon Lawson, how you doing, friend? Leslie Denny, if your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough.
I agree.
We don't want to make dreams so big that we get uncomfortable, and it's okay to admit that. It's okay to know that we don't want to be blamed for not hitting our dreams, that we didn't hit our goals. Dale Jr.'s on here. Dale Jr. is the one thing you're chasing worth catching, friend. Tell me, is it? So that I do believe that. Like in 2018, if I wanted to just say to myself, this is what I'm going to accomplish. And if the whole world was going to see it, I'd want to kind of bring it down a little bit because I wouldn't want people to think I wouldn't want people to think that I was a failure. I kind of got off topic a little bit on these goals and on these dreams, didn't I?
It all kind of goes with the same stuff.
You're right. It all does.
It's all the same pot.
It all does. So, hey, here's what you need to ask yourself: is what I'm chasing worth catching? Is what I'm chasing, is it the one thing that will take care of everything else? Is what you're chasing, is it an isolated vertical, or is it so big and horizontal that if I chase this one thing, it takes care of everything in my life? Is that clear?
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because sometimes I think people chase just one thing that may lead to a destructive life. If they just chase this one thing, whether they become obsessed with, like we were saying a minute ago, if it's just obsessed with making money, there may be some other thing. Although I do believe if you're chasing making more money, that is one thing that can help every other area of your life. I'm not saying success in one area is having a success in one area does not justify being weak in other areas. Does that make sense? You can't just make a lot of money and then have excuses for why you're not performing in other areas of your life.
Right.
You can't do that.
Right. But I think we agree that if you're led by money, that you're probably not going to be as successful as what you could be.
That is something I do believe. For me, focusing on money never did lead me to making as much money as I make now.
Right.
Never. Because I only focused on the money. I didn't focus on the things that made me more money. Being great at what I do is what helps me make more money.
Right.
We've been going almost 45 minutes, which is about as long as I can go without my throat. But every Thursday night, me and Brittany Renee, we do Straight from the Gut, which is something that I'm very passionate about. I sell real estate, but what I'm the absolute most passionate about is me reaching my potential, me developing myself. And I get more out of telling other people how to reach their potential because it brings an awareness back to me to help me. It's my little accountability check. So I love doing this. If you ever want to do this, you're always welcome to call me, or hey, you can come over here with us. Hey, we can have a Straight from the Gut audience over here, can't we?
Just don't sit by him because he doesn't like people sitting by him.
You can sit by me, but don't sit by me staring at it and trying to get in. and
You
read.
don't even like when I sit right there.
I like to look at you.
Oh.
I would rather look at you and ask you a question. So, but hey, before I get off, does anybody have any questions? Is there anything that I can answer? Anything, friend? I don't know if there's. Hey, is anybody still on here? Do you think anybody's still here?
11 people are still on, baby.
Hey, that's 1,100, baby. You misread that.
1,100. I missed the zeros.
You missed the zeros. So, hey, it's about bedtime. Leslie, thank you for the likes. I've been struggling lately with being so tired lately.
Are you doing this or are you on your phone video?
I'm doing both. 11,000. That's right, Travis. Travis, are you coming to my party November 22nd? Everybody on here, you are invited to the party November 22nd.
You do realize that that's Lucky's birthday, too.
I did not know that. We'll miss him that night. Wednesday. Hey, Jamie Stillman, thank you for listening, friend. I really appreciate you being on here. Wednesday night before old age. That's it. I do worry about that, Leslie, that the reason why I'm tired all the time is because I'm getting old. But Wednesday night before Thanksgiving at Main Street Music, I want everybody that watches this to come out from 7 to probably midnight. Got a band. It will be a big time. I hope you're there. All right, guys, I got to shut it down because I'm going to start coughing. This cough syrup can only hold me out so long. But if you do have any questions, post. I'll get back with you every Thursday night. We're going to do this. I do not mind talking about how I don't mind talking about my screw-ups. Because, again, even when you go through bad times, what you're doing is you're going through an education phase of your life. You'll learn a lot from your mistakes. I don't know if you learn more from your mistakes or from your successes. I don't know. I don't know if that's true. Hey, Clayton Winter, how you doing, friend? Sorry, I'm about to have to get off here because I'm going to call. But everybody, have a great night. Thank you so much for getting on here. I'll be back. We'll be back next Thursday night at 8 o'clock. Hope everybody has a great night and a great weekend. Thanks so much again.